What was the Chicora Incident, and did the Métis of Sault Ste. Marie have any involvement in the Chicora Incident?
Good question. I don't know how much involvement we would have had, but the Chicora incident, to my understanding, is when we were talking about the Louis Riel, right? And when the government was sending those troops out there in 1870, they had to pass the locks that are here now. They weren't there then, right? And the oldest locks that were here were those were at the Northwest Company fort, but those were burned down during the War of 1812. The Americans burned basically our whole village to the ground, right? And they burned the locks up. And so by that point, the Americans had locks built on the American side, right? And the United States government wouldn't let them pass. They wouldn't let them go. They wouldn't let them bring military equipment through the locks because mostly the Americans, don't kid yourself, they had no interest in protecting Louis Riel or the Métis people. They just didn't want the British, or the Canadians rather, to assert themselves and establish any sort of real control over what is now Western Canada, because at that time the Americans still had, at that time they still had this idea that they were destined to run the whole continent, right? And so they were in no mood to help Canada establish any sort of dominance out there. And so it went on for a few weeks, and the Americans wouldn't allow this boat, the Chicora, to pass through the locks. They ended up having to unload all the military equipment and then carry it from somewhere east of the Sioux, basically out to Gros Cap, past the locks, right, on the old fur trading route, right. And I don't know, I don't know what influence we would have had at that time, because by 1870, about 90% of our community had been relocated out of the Sioux, right? And we're either living in Agua Bay and Montreal River and those places north of here, or at the invitation of Chief Shingwak and his sons and his community in Garden River, about half of our community, including my family, moved to the reserve, right? And we're in Garden River. So I don't know how much activity we would have been involved in with the Chicora incident.